Good morning, my Sakonauts. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth Teg, and today we are just starting The House Witch by Arin Murphy-Hiscock. All right. If we haven't met before, I'd like to welcome you to my channel. It's nice to meet you. If you have been here before, it's so lovely to see you back. Oh my gosh, I love you guys. I'd like to start this morning with a grounding ritual to start your day. This starts in your domain, so if you have not created a domain, you might want to sign up for my newsletter, which is linked below in the description. Let me get myself situated here. Sit with your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment. And as you let it out completely through your mouth, let go of the tension from the night and the grogginess of the morning. Take another deep breath in, and as you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in pure love. As you breathe out, imagine you are breathing out forgiveness. Take a third deep breath in, and as you do so, imagine a light coming in at the top of your head. It enters at the top of your head and spreads down over your face, neck, and shoulders. This cleansing light now expands along your back, down your legs, and out through your feet. It's as if cleansing light is a constant flow of soothing energy entering from your head and passing out through the arches of your feet. You are just outside the door of your domain. The air is crisp and cool. The evergreens sway slightly in the breeze, and the ground has a large patch of moss at your feet. Step barefoot onto the moss. Feel how soft it is. Feel the solid ground underneath. That light coming into your head can now be translated into energy that you can send out your feet. Convert the light into roots and send the roots out the bottoms of your feet and deep into the earth, as deep as you can. The soil is fresh, easy to toil, easy to carve a path down. Feel how anchored you are, how close to the earth. Reach as far down as you can. The earth hugs your roots comfortably, no matter how sharp or curly, no matter how many times they split off. Slowly pull the roots back up the way they came. Your roots slither through the dark, the soil filling in its wake. Pull the roots back into your feet, convert it back to the light, and let the light filter through you and out the top of your head. Take one more deep breath in and begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we just did a morning grounding ritual. If you are interested in more meditations like this one, but more exploratory, you might want to look at subscribing to my Patreon, where I will be releasing a 2 a month to help you on your supernatural journey. Until then, you can join me for coffee in the mornings here on YouTube. Let's see, Josh Luna mentioned the Mindful Mage, and honestly, I'm kind of here for it. She's a Christian witch, and I don't know if she does like Appalachian Conjure or what's up. I'll watch some of her videos and find out. And she also merges some of the Wiccan stuff, and yeah, I'm kind of here for it. So, Mindful Mage, African American lady with like fantastic hair. Good morning, Christina and Jenny. And yeah, we are fabulous. We are all fabulous. And Debbie, it's so good to see you guys. So good to see you guys. We are going to be reading The House Witch by Arin Murphy-Hiscock, who is the same lady who wrote the Green Witch book. Let's see. This is the dedication for Ada and Audrey, who are discovering magic as a way to help the world around them and heal those they care about. Is that not what we're all aiming at? Is that not all that we're doing? My endless thanks go out to the team at Simon & Schuster who worked on this book to bring it to a new round of readers, including Eileen Mullen and Brett Shanahan. Thanks also go out to my original team at Adams Media who helped develop the first version of this book, especially Andrea Hawkinson. Of all the paths within witchcraft, hearth magic is the one closest to my heart, and I will be forever grateful to her for helping me to initially share it with readers. Lots of contents. All right, introduction. Excuse me. Oh, I'm going to need more coffee. Your home is a place of refuge, renewal, and creativity, where you begin and end each day. It is also the primary root of your energy and spirituality. The House Witch works to honor and strengthen that sacred space, making it as simple, peaceful, and nourishing as possible. Unlike green witches who focus on nature-based practices and kitchen witches who concentrate on food and cooking, the House Witch explores and uses the magic of the home. While other spiritual paths often look beyond the home to focus on the natural world, the House Witch creates a solid and supportive place to start to work from, a literal and magical home base. I'm hoping that this will also get into sanctums and stuff, so I'm kind of here for it. In the House Witch, you'll explore the energies of the hearth and home and learn how you can create a spiritual haven for yourself and your loved ones in today's busy world. Inside these pages, you'll learn how to locate and enhance your home's spiritual hearth, perform rituals to protect and cleanse your home, build a kitchen shrine, which I've always thought about doing, prepare recipes and blend magic and food, master the secrets of the cauldron and the sacred flame, bring the ancient House Witch practices into modern times, and produce hearth-based arts and crafts. In essence, the role of the House Witch is to serve as a facilitator for the spiritual well-being of herself, her family, and her welcomed guests. Her home is her temple, which she tends in order to keep energy flowing smoothly and freely, as well as to honor the principles she upholds. She seeks to support and nurture her family and extended community in both a spiritual and physical fashion. So, if you are ready to explore the magic that may be found or created in your home and use it to better your life, then let's get started. Excuse me. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. I'm still waking up, so please forgive me if I hop around. Chapter 1, A Place to Call Home. If there's something all people have in common, it's the need for shelter, nourishment, and a place to call home. That place is somewhere to return to for refuge, renewal, relaxation, and rejuvenation. In this chapter, you'll learn about the concept of home and its place in spiritual life. Spirituality comes from within, and the spiritual path or practice you choose gives it context. One of the most common of those contexts is the hearth, the spiritual center of the home. No matter what your current spiritual path is, rooting it in your hearth makes a lot of sense and can nourish the rest of the spiritual life. I have been stretching and aligning my chakras this morning. Oh, I was thinking of doing a meditation where you assess your chakras and stuff like that. I found a guided meditation I like and can do it on my own. I'm so glad. Pleased to be sharing. Pleased to be sharing. That's fantastic. Chakra work is wonderful. It can be really, when I did it for the first time, like it was quite powerful, and had me reassessing the people that I was keeping around in my life. Hearthcraft and home-based spirituality. Hearthcraft is a spiritual path rooted in the belief that the home is a place of beauty, power, and protection, a place where people are nurtured and nourished on a spiritual basis as well as a physical and emotional basis. Hearthcraft describes the home-based portion of the spirituality associated with the path of the house witch. It is not kitchen witchcraft, although that can play a role within a house witch's practice. It is also not green witchcraft, although that too can influence and enrich a hearth and home-based practice. Hearthcraft argues that spirituality, like many other things, begins at home. It is not enough to attend an out-of-home spiritual gathering at specific intervals. The home itself is an essential element within a nurturing, vibrant, ongoing spiritual practice. Once upon a time, organized religion was depended upon to be the source of spiritual fulfillment. With increasing dissatisfaction being felt within organized religious institutions, the relocation of the spiritual focus to the home, either as the central element or a supportive one, makes sense. Honoring the hearth means honoring your origins, where you come from each day and where you return each night. Why hearthcraft? The word hearth is of Old English origin, meaning the floor around a fireplace or the lower part of a furnace where molten metal is collected during the smelting process. Throughout the ages, the hearth has come to symbolize domestic comfort and the entire home, perceived as the heart or center of the living space. Therefore, someone who practices hearthcraft is someone whose spiritual practices revolve around the hearth and home, as symbolized by the fireplace and the fire that burns within it. Perhaps a more familiar term, kitchen witch, is used popularly to mean someone who practices magic through cooking, baking, and or through everyday activity. Hearthcraft differentiates from kitchen Yeah. From kitchen witchcraft by primarily focusing and emphasizing the spiritual aspect that runs through the practice, as opposed to the primarily magical practice of the kitchen witch. There's more about kitchen witches later in this chapter. Yay! Thank you. Obviously, that would be a Patreon sort of situation, but we will see what is up. Witch and kitchen, yes. You see, you know what it is that is happening in my brain, mates. Hearthcraft, like other aspects of the house witch's path and other forms of kitchen and green witchcraft, revolves around practicality with little ritualistic guidelines or necessary formality. Here are some key words to keep in mind when you think about hearthcraft: simple, practical, family-related, domestic, everyday, household. Keep it simple. The practices suggested in this book are based in simplicity. Here, the word ritual doesn't mean something full-blown and complicated. Instead, it means an intuitive ceremony or something set apart from everyday action by mindfulness and conscious intent. Also, the word magic means the conscious and directed attempt to effect change by combining and directing energy toward a positive goal. Excuse me. The rituals and magical workings included in this book are only guidelines to give you an idea of how you can structure your own hearth-based spiritual practice. Why hearthcraft is so special. Hearthcraft functions on a very basic truth: living your life is a spiritual act. Having said that, it can be hard to isolate exactly what constitutes spirituality and, by extension, how to actively support it in the home. What makes hearthcraft so special is that the principles of it dovetail, in fact, are the things you do every day in your home. In essence, this book is designed to help you recognize those things and lend awareness to them so that you can appreciate them all the more. It also offers some ideas on how to enhance those everyday actions and objects in order to facilitate or deepen your experience. What is spiritual to you? Nurturing the spiritual element of the home is key to the path of the hearth-based house witch. How can you do this? The answer depends on how you define spiritual. You've already read some basic definitions, but what is crucial to this practice is defining the term for yourself. Think about these questions. What constitutes a spiritual experience for you? What are the characteristics of a sacred object? What elements of an action render it spiritual? These are huge questions, and the answers will be different for every person who tries to answer them. Attempting to define spiritual can be challenging, frustrating, and faith-testing. You may not be able to say more than, "I just know when something is spiritual," and that's fine. In essence, when you recognize something as spiritual, you acknowledge that something about it moves you or touches you deeply in a very specific way, evoking certain feelings that may be indefinable. Focus your practice. Once you know what kinds of things you find spiritual or what kinds of events or actions evoke that response within yourself, then you may have some idea of where to focus in your practice of home-based spirituality and how to identify or establish everyday activities that can support your spirituality. Wow, this is all one sentence. Recognizing and using these spiritual moments to reinforce your commitment to making this home a spiritual place. That is a long sentence. Oh. One method of doing this is to use these moments or activities as an opportunity to think about important things, not important as in balancing your checkbook or picking up groceries for dinner, but as an issue related to your spirituality. An opportunity to send good thoughts out toward your family, friends, and community. An opportunity to practice a form of walking meditation where you perform a simple, ongoing action with a clear mind. Perhaps you take a moment to say a prayer or simply open your heart and talk to God in whatever form you envision: the divine, the universe, the spirit of love, or whoever you feel like talking to. Maintaining healthy spirituality means keeping yourself relaxed, focused, and practicing something. It means keeping the lines of communication open between you and something greater than you. The term practice is often used to describe what one does in respect to one's spiritual path, and it means physically or intentionally acting upon a theory associated with the path. By actively seeking out or defining spiritual activity, you create the opportunity to develop a deeper connection with the world around you. Chapter 2 explores sanctity in more depth, especially as it pertains to the home. Excellent. That is exactly what I was hoping for. Everyday things can be magical. There is always a sense that something that is simple cannot possibly be as effective or powerful or useful as something more complicated or difficult. This is an odd human perception. People love to complicate things, possibly in order to have a scapegoat available if they fail. It was too difficult, they can cry. Humankind seems to instinctively eschew responsibility, but taking responsibility for your spiritual practice, working from the heart of your home outward, is a step toward a more rewarding relationship with the world around you. Everything is or can be a magical act. Stirring a pot of soup as you reheat it can be a magical act. So can wiping down the counter, washing the dishes, filling the kettle, and arranging your tea caddy. So how do you make these things magical? Not with secret words or arcane shapes drawn in the air. It isn't the addition of something that is necessary so much as a recognition and acknowledgement of something that is already there. How do you recognize magic? Try these steps. Live in the moment. Being in the moment is harder to do than it sounds. It means not thinking about your next action or the one you just performed, not thinking about how you have to leave in a half an hour to pick the kids up from practice, or how you have to remember to buy milk on the way home. It means thinking about what you are doing this precise moment instead. Just be. Feel the weight of the jug in your hand. Feel the weight shift as you tilt it to pour the milk. Hear the sound of the liquid flowing into the glass. Be aware of your intent. Awareness is key to the most magical working. While you are performing your action, make sure you have a clear expectation of the associated result or energy. Envisioning a clear, defined result is a key to success. Direct your energy properly. Focus your will and allow it to fill the action you are performing. Poorly directed energy is wasted. Focus on an action. Living in the moment can be hard. Absolutely. There is a place for looking into the past and there is a place for looking into the future, but most of the time you should be concentrating on what is happening in front of you at that moment. When you meditate, you should be experiencing what is happening at that moment. Focus on an action. It may go without saying there should be an action upon which to hang your magical work, but for the sake of clarity, it's worth noting that it is better to focus on a single action rather than a series of actions. It is harder to maintain focus over a long period of time, especially if you must change actions along the way. Remember, hearthcraft is about keeping things simple and focusing on the actual work you are doing in the home. If you feel you need to speak during a moment you define as spiritual or magical working, speak from the heart or use a short prayer or poem that you already know and can apply to several situations. See Chapter 10 for suggestions about spoken magic and prayers. In essence, magic is the art of clearly focusing your will to help create a change or transition of some kind. If you're familiar with the contemporary practice of magic, particularly in conjunction with your spiritual practice, then you know that certain symbols or objects can help you focus and lend energy to help accomplish that change. If you're interested in this kind of work as a supplement to your spiritual practice, you should read a book specifically focusing on magic and spell work, such as my book, Power Spellcraft for Life. As this book focuses mainly on maintaining a home-based spiritual practice, there isn't a lot of magic-based works described here. It does include folk wisdom and home-based tradition, however, which some people may identify or define as magic. Although many people use the terms house and home interchangeably, there is a difference between them, and each term is used to describe something specific in this book. House refers to the physical dwelling, the four walls, the roof over your head, and the address and geographic location of your residence. Home refers to the energy entity created by that physical dwelling, the family that lives in it, and the identity that arises from the interaction between the two. Hi, Katerina. So glad to see you. We are doing the things. I was hoping you'd make it. How does this all tie into spirituality? Every moment is an opportunity to be in the now, to appreciate the moment and to make it magical. By doing this, you acknowledge that even the simplest of tasks informs your spirit and can nurture your soul. Allowing yourself to be in the moment illustrates how special you are. Life is made of many tiny moments strung together after all. Opening yourself to the simplest of tasks and allowing them to inspire you with some insight or wisdom or even a moment of peace illustrates that the divine can whisper to you in the oddest of unexpected places. Hearthcraft is about communing with the divine through everyday tasks, not through complicated formal ritual. I think of ritual as like a bunch of spells that are like strung together, which makes it complicated, right? I think I need more coffee. What have I done? I will be right back. For I need more coffee. I need more coffee. I have returned. Can't stick around this morning. Gonna have I am having a massive screen sensitivity, so I may need a full social sabbatical. No problem, baby. Take it easy. I know there are days where I can't even look at a computer screen, so I get it. Just wanted to jump in and say hello and support the Sako. Oh, thank you. Catch the replay. Sending hugs. Excellent. Excellent. All right, where were we? Building your spiritual headquarters. Let's see here. Your hearth-based house, which seeks to create and maintain the best possible home atmosphere for her family and friends, to support, fuel, and nourish them on both a physical and spiritual level. The hearth-based house. Let me try this again. A house is a neutral structure. Meow. Meow. A house is a neutral structure, and a home is a living, thriving place that is created by the actions and intentions of the people who live within that house. The home is a sanctuary, a place of security. It is defined by the people who live in it, is created by them, and is keyed to their energy. Energy defines the home in more than one way. It feeds and propels it spiritually and emotionally, but it is also invested in the form of money that sets it up and maintains it. Mortgage payments, rent, furnishings, consumables are all fueled by energy in the form of money, which is earned by an individual through work or pages stuck together or exchange of energy. Emotion, time, and money are all valid forms of energy that go into running a household or home. The home is where you build a base or headquarters from which you may venture out into the world and to which you may return to at the end of the day. It is a place where you can relax and allow the energy you control so tightly outside its walls to flow freely in a protected space. It makes an excellent and very immediate base for spiritual practice. Dennis, good job, Sako. Denise Lynn, author of Sacred Space, says homes are symbolic representations of ourselves, and in fact, in a deeper sense, are extensions of ourselves. She is absolutely right. On an unconscious level, how you treat your living space can very often give insight how you perceive yourself. On a more active level, by consciously controlling how you organize and decorate your living space, you can impact your sense of self as well and influence how you feel. Environment affects your emotional, physical, and mental functioning. It makes sense that it affects your spiritual well-being too. For many of us, it's important to have a room or a defined space within the home that is exclusively ours. A bedroom, a corner, an office or reading room. What is often overlooked is in a communal area that is equally invested in with conscious awareness and is cared for in a way a private or personal space would be. Communal spaces in a home, such as living rooms, family rooms, bathrooms, and kitchens, become an aggregate of energy of all the people who use them and the activities that take place within them. Rather than allowing the energy to form willy-nilly without any sort of conscious direction and living with whatever the result is, it's wise to take it in hand and guide the energy signature identity. In the next chapter, we'll explore the idea of how this impacts the spiritual health and well-being of the members of the family as well. Energy is fluid and always moving, so result is never permanent. Ongoing maintenance is ideal, and it's never too late to begin or to work to reverse the energy signature of a communal room that is unwelcoming or uncomfortable in some way. Maintaining, guiding, and shaping the energy of a communal room is a form of caring for the health and well-being of the people who use it. Caring for those inside your home. The practice of hearthcraft presupposes someone to care for, even if it is only yourself or your pets. Family is one of the cornerstones of hearthcraft. Members of the family and or the residents of the home are active participants in shaping and affecting the energy of the home. They maintain and continually nourish the spiritual element of the home by being active, communicative, loving, and physically present. They provide energy for the house which which is one of the reasons for the practice. The living energy is important to the path. Without it, the home becomes more of a house. The active, fluid, ever-changing dynamic of family ensures input and activity, essential elements of the spiritual well-being of a home. It is also important to remember that the family's interaction and support go beyond maintaining the general identity of the home. However, the family supports itself as individuals as well. Think about your values. Increasingly, people are no longer members of a defined religious group, and thus it falls to the family to engage in spiritual support. This can be challenging, especially when you think about all the morals, ethics, and values that an organized religion defines and instills in its adherents. These three terms are slippery and sometimes are confused. Morals are the standards of behavior or principles of right and wrong. Ethics are the moral principles governing or influencing conduct. And values, principles or standards of behavior. A value, singular, the regard that something is held to deserve importance or worth. Because these three definitions are so closely intertwined, let's simplify them. Morals are principles of right and wrong. Ethics are the application of morals to one's behavior. Values are morals and ethics that an individual or society as a whole considers important and worthy of upholding. Define what morals are important to you and actively demonstrate them through ethical behavior, especially at the hearth. If you are, oh my God, let's try this again. If your family is open to discussing spirituality, ask them for their input as well as you define the fundamental values you wish to associate with your hearth. It is only fair to include them and their beliefs, as what goes on at the hearth and in the home impacts and affects them as well. It can be quite illuminating to learn what morals and ethics your partner and children value, and they may surprise you by listing principles that you hadn't initially thought of. Define your values. Here's an exercise you can engage with your family or alone if you live by yourself. With your family, have a brainstorming session in which you talk about morals, ethics, and values, and make an overall list. Once the session is over, schedule another meeting for a couple of days later. Discuss the overall list that was created during the brainstorming session. From the global list, write down the issues that mean the most to the family. Put it on the fridge or pin it to a bulletin board so everyone can see it on a regular basis. For each item on the list, come up with a real-life example. For example, if one of the values is eco-awareness, an example might be taking lunch to work in a reusable lunch bag or bento box. An illustration for compassion might be making someone a cup of tea and sitting down with them to show that someone cares about them. Looking up each word on the list in the dictionary and reading out the definition may be illuminating as well, because the popular idea of the meaning of the terms like compassion and generosity may not be what those terms actually mean. The family might discuss the difference between the dictionary definition and their understanding of the term and choose one meaning over the other if it bears more ethical weight with them and has more positive influence on the way they wish to live their lives. Single page? No. Caring for those outside your home. Oh, we got like 15 minutes left. Okay. One of the essential elements of the Hearthcraft path is a presupposition of a community of some kind to care for, whether it be yourself and a pet, or your family, or a circle of friends. Most hearth-based house witches gravitate to the path because they feel the need to care for and nurture those who are close to them. A kitchen and a home are places where living people operate and interact. These people are literally the soul of the home, much as the hearth and the fireplace are the hearth of the house. As a result, the hearth-based house, which can work, and her work can have a significant impact on her family and extended community as they interact with her sphere. The energy you maintain in your home will affect them, just as the energy they bring to your spiritual hearth will help to fuel it. Oh, excuse me. My talking vibrates my nose. Blood isn't the only indicator of those close ties. The term kin is sometimes employed to describe those who are members of your blood family unit, but the term akin means something of someone essentially similar. People who have interests or philosophies akin to yours, with whom you have a spark of connection, and whom you invite into your home constitute a community of sorts as well. You may have close friends who hold special places in your heart, like-minded individuals who support and love you. In essence, they are family without blood or legal ties. Chosen family is the term often used to describe this circle. Chosen family is one such example of a close circle or community for whom your hearthcraft practices resonate in some way, whether they consciously know of your spiritual focus or not. Caring for them in emotional and physical ways, the supportive phone call, the cup of tea, the casserole in times of stress, is another way in which hearthcraft expresses itself. Caring for family and community to foster an environment that supports healthy growth and development at all levels is one of the things a house witch does. So, what have we figured out so far? We want to define our values, what's important to us. There were other questions. Yeah. All right. Living in the moment. Ginny did mention how difficult that can be. So this taps into cognitive behavior therapy and Buddhism very, very well. What do you guys think about the concept of living in the moment? Good morning, Raven. Good to see you, my friend. Defined values, difference between the feeling of the house and home and what your space means. Yeah. Morning, Raven. So, should you be having been parking vectors and cleaning my kitchen? Yay! Doing that hearth witch thing. Ugh. I want to thank you guys for joining me. Never been able to manage it. My past way is too heavy, and my anxiety about the future keeps me constantly on edge. So, chanting, meditating, all of that stuff might benefit you. I would start with something guided, just so that you can concentrate on what's being said rather than thinking about the past or thinking about the future. I can do it if I plan to do it. Otherwise, my brain runs away on its own. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you plan to, like, okay, I'm going to meditate, or I'm going to live presently, like from here till like 15 minutes from now, right? I am liking the concept of this book so far. It's really close to how my path is. I've been doing mindful meditations more lately. I'm so glad. I hope the domain kind of like helped you create a place where you can do that sort of thing and live in the moment. 100% Jace. Yeah. It's always been part of my practice growing up. So it's kind of like telling people to be aware of their surroundings if it wasn't instilled into them as children. Like, it's super, super weird. So I have more things to think. Just to give you guys a heads up, on January 8th, 9th, and 10th, that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'll be hosting some free witchy training on how to work with spirits. It's only going to be available for those 3 days, so I recommend subscribing to my newsletter now, or subscribing to my YouTube. If you liked this video at any point, please hit the like button. And if you would like to see what I do for the rest of this book, what the rest of this book is like, hit subscribe and maybe even ring that bell on the off chance that YouTube might notify you. And if you're interested in supporting me, I do have a Patreon, which is linked in the description, and I'll catch you guys. Wait, I do want to read the things. I don't seem to have a mindset that works with meditation. I literally can't still my mind without shutting it off entirely, which doesn't serve the purpose. Turning it off is kind of living in the present. It kind of forces you to live in the present. Charlie is the one to teach me to be aware of my surroundings from like 2012 to now. Yeah, it was something that was instilled in me as a child, and learning it takes, I mean, I think the older you are, the harder it is to learn. Being aware of your surroundings, being aware of who you are on the inside, past, present, and future. I came to the conclusion recently that, trying to tidy up. I came to the conclusion recently that I think of future Sako quite often, like pretty much constantly, because I prepare everything for my next day. So the place looks like a wreck all the time as far as my husband is concerned, but I'm preparing for the next day, so that when I sit down, I have very little that I need to do. I have not made my spread for today, though, so that's unfortunate. Takes time and genuine effort. You have to, and that's the whole thing about the effort part, right? Is that you have to make genuine effort. So to learn to be in the present, let's say you're having a panic attack, right? Rather than, oh God, this thing is happening. Well, that's the first part of living in the present is, oh God, this thing is happening. I don't know why this thing is happening. Why is this thing happening? But instead of expecting someone to answer, you have to actually parse apart those questions. Why is this happening? What is happening? So my heart is like freaking out in my chest. Okay, well, what triggered this? All right. So let's say, oh, figuratively, I'll see myself out. So being cognitive about what is happening to your body, what triggered you into this like spiral. And then cognitive behavioral therapy basically teaches you what to do in that third step. Yeah, meow. What is the meow? Just randomly meowing. That's probably my problem. I have no concept of mental exertion. There doesn't seem to be a focus structure in my brain. Either things happen or they don't, and I don't seem to have a mechanism to change that. That was too big of a sip. Okay, so hold on. I need to parse that apart. I have no concept of mental exertion. So I think guided meditations would be like super helpful, especially exploratory ones that give your brain like stuff to do. Is it really a Sako video without the kitty meows, right? Is it? So the key is to make those mechanisms and put them in place, right? Are you taking therapy at the moment? Is that a thing? You might want to talk to your therapist about CBT. Well, we have 3 minutes left. I have to be doing a task that's non-cognitive for me to get into the meditative state. Yeah, I call it gnosis. Like some people call it Zen, which isn't right, but I learned how to do it during long, tedious tasks at the hospital where I was suddenly enjoying myself. Yeah, you just kind of like hit a flow, right? I haven't been to therapy since 2017 or 18, I think. There's plenty of like resources on the internet for CBT, for cognitive behavioral therapy. It's basically Buddhism in practice, and it's teaching people who are neurodivergent in some way on how to bring them more in line. And I don't want to say make them normal again, but to make them calm. Well, as I was saying before, if you want to support me, you can join the Coven of Tylwyth Teg by joining the Patreon, which I will be launching coming the end of this week. Day 1, it will be working with local spirits. Day 2 is working with non-local spirits or external spirits, and day 3 will be working with deities. So that is going to be my launch. It's going to be exciting. And it's only going to be available for those 3 days. But I also know the S&M scene where CBT has a completely different meaning. Yes, there's definitely that. Yeah, there's 2 things that run almost intrinsically contrary to my nature. Yeah. Mindfulness is super helpful. I hate that it's a term that's thrown around, but here we are. All right, thank you all for joining me one more time. Again, if you liked this video, please hit the like button. If you would like to see more of what this book is about and more coffee hours and stuff like that from me, please hit subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.